anything into this particular bucket. Remaining all bucket, I'm okay him to upload, delete, or do anything. I don't want to allow him to upload anything and delete anything from that bucket. If he want to, he can open and he can see. If he want to, I'm okay to open any object and I'm okay to see any object from this bucket. But my restriction should be only put object, that is nothing but upload, delete object. Okay. So let's go to bucket permissions. Bucket policy is here. Click on edit. You see here policy examples, some policy examples, you can find it here. So some policy generator. So we are going to use policy generator. Click on policy generator. Now select the service you want to create policy for. This policy generator is for multiple services, not only for S3. You can create a policy for IAM, SNS. So I'm selecting S3 as we are working on S3 bucket. Now, you are going to create this policy for allow operation or Deny operation. So, effect is nothing but allow or deny. Under effect, if you select allow, the selected actions, here we have lot of actions. These actions are going to allow. But my requirement, I want to deny. So select deny and go and select what are the activities you want to do deny. So go and select OK. I want to deny delete object. Selecting it. Okay. So I don't want him to delete any specific object version also. Delete object version also he cannot delete. Okay, that is purely optional. So then scroll down. Then another operation, put object. Upload is nothing but put. Opening or downloading is nothing but get. Okay, in HTTP terminology, put is nothing but upload, get is nothing but download. So I'm selecting put object. So whatever the options I selected here. So you see I selected two options, right? One is delete bucket, second one is upload. These two operations are going to deny. But for what user, for what bucket? Remaining two options. You are selecting, okay, deny this, deny that. But on what bucket you want to deny? Okay, but for what user you want to make it applicable? That also you need to select, right? So principal is nothing but user. Principal is nothing but an IAM user. Or we can give roles, that is different part. So for now, user. For what user we want to? Policy test user. Go here, grab this user ARN. ARN stands for Amazon resource name. Okay, so grab this user, give under principal. If you want to give multiple user, you give comma and you give another user also. That also works for us. Okay. So I have given the user. Now, this user, if we try to perform delete object operation or upload object operation, it is going to deny. But on what bucket? We need to define an S3 bucket, right? For S3 bucket also, we have a ARN. So give that ARN here. Okay. So go to the bucket. Here is the bucket ARN. Grab the bucket ARN. Give that here. Okay. Now, one common error. I got this question 100 times from previous students. Okay. So whatever the action we selected here, so we are just simply giving this bucket URL. Okay. This is a bucket ARN, right? Now, so he cannot upload anything directly into the bucket. But we have a folder one, right? Can he upload anything to folder one? Or can he delete any object from folder one? The answer is going to be yes. Why? Because you are giving URL till here. Yes, that is a problem. Now, delete object. If the user should not delete anything from only folder 1, you can give like this. Okay. So, but we have folder 2 also, right? So he should not delete anything from that bucket, whether it is direct object, folder 1 object, folder 2 object, doesn't matter. He should not delete anything from any folder or direct object. For that, we can give /star. That means everything. Star represents everything inside that bucket. Star is like a wild card. We call star as a wild card that represents every object, every folder inside that bucket. Okay, so we need to add star. The reason is we are selecting object level operations. Put object is a object level or folder level. Delete also is a folder level or object level. But we do have some bucket level operations. For example, I don't want to allow him to delete bucket. So delete bucket, does it require any wildcard entry? No. Why? Because we are representing the bucket only. Here, for this option, we are representing the bucket. Okay. So, but for these operations, we need to choose bucket level as well as folder level. Technically, it's an object level operation. So we need to add /. Okay. So this is a common mistake many times we guys are going to do. For example, you selected bucket level operation. If you gave /star, it gives an error. You selected object level operations, and if you don't give star, it will give an error. Okay. So I'll show you the error also now. You see, the options I selected is a delete object, put object. So it definitely required /star. But I'm not going to give /star now. Let's see what happened. I generated the options here. Generate policy. I'm copying everything. I'm pasting it here. When you click here, a space added, just press backspace, then paste everything. Now scroll down, click on save changes. You see here, I got an error. If you got this error, that means there is an issue whether you added star additionally or you missed star when required. The easiest option I'll tell you is you take 2. Okay. So you paste that with star, give comma and paste direct URL. Okay. So whether it is a bucket level or object level, AWS will pick it automatically. Okay. If you have clarity, whether it is bucket level, for example, delete bucket, then don't require star. You see here, abort multi-part upload, bucket level doesn't require star. Bypass governance retention, bucket level setting doesn't require star. Create access point, bucket level doesn't require star. Create access point, bucket level. Create job, create bucket level doesn't require star. Delete access point doesn't require star. Delete bucket doesn't require star. Bucket policy doesn't require a star. But if you scroll down, put object, that is a object level, required a star. Put object ACL, for individual object ACL, that required star. Bucket version, object version, required a star. Replicate tags, required star. Okay, so some need that /star, some doesn't require that /star. Okay, so if you have clarity which one required star, which one don't require star, you give that. If you don't have clarity, mention both. AWS will pick suitable one. All right. So now I'm going to do the same thing again. For what principle? Principle is nothing but IAM user, grab the user ARN, gave that here. What actions? Delayed object, and put object. Put object. I even don't want to allow him to delete bucket. I can even select delete bucket also. Okay. So again, delete bucket is a bucket level. So I'm selecting two types of options here. In a single policy, I have object level, I have bucket level. So then what I need to give? Give both. Copy this, enter it. Give comma, then another with star. Why? Because our actions contains both bucket level as well as object level. Now click on add statement. Oh, okay. I selected allow. Thanks for pointing that. Okay, I'll modify it here itself. Okay. Now instead of allow operation, I need to give Denny actually, but I have written it, I selected as allow. So you see now, this is a operations. So now if you read this, see the first 3 lines is not a valid one. SID also we can give anything. You can give a name. So easy identification. For example, SID I'm going to give Avinash demo rule. You can give anything. Now, what are all the actions? Delete bucket, delete object, put object. These 3 actions, are we going to allow Denny? Denny. For what resource? On this bucket or inside that bucket? For what user? User is nothing but a principal. For this user. Now, if I save it, so far this user is able to upload. Before saving, I'm just doing test again. Put a policy test user, upload, add files, selected a file, did the upload. Okay, so uploaded successfully. So now I'm going to save this changes. So bucket policy is now uploaded successfully. Let's switch to this user, policy test user, upload, add files. I'm selecting an object. Whenever this guy is trying to upload, now it is giving an error. It's saying access denied. But is this, so this is, if he can go here, he can open the file and he can read it. He can go here, he can open the file and he can read everything. But new objects, is he able to upload? Is he able to upload any new object? Even if we try to delete anything, for example, we have uploaded this ec2.txt, right? Okay, this guy is trying to delete. See, failed to delete, access denied. He is not able to delete the object. He is not able to upload the object, but he is able to open and he is able to read. Why? Because this bucket policy is restricting him to perform those operations. But you might get a doubt, okay, this guy now came and seen this bucket policy. So he's a bit intelligent guy. What he did? Okay, Avinash applied a bucket policy to not to perform upload and delete. Upload and delete the bucket. Can I delete this bucket policy? Yeah, he simply deleted the bucket policy. And that deleted, now he can go and upload, right? Why? Because he deleted the bucket policy I applied. He deleted the bucket policy I applied and he is able to upload now. So there is a loophole and he is using that loophole. So I don't want this user to view the bucket policy and delete the bucket policy. So for that, let's create a policy, new policy now. Okay. See, I'm going to Denny. For what user? Grab the user ARN. Okay. Now actions. I don't want allow him to delete the bucket. Delete the object. So delete bucket policy option is here. If this option is selected, he cannot delete bucket policy. Or else I don't want him to view the bucket policy itself. Forget about delete. I don't want him to see the bucket policy. For that, we can use describe or get bucket policy option. You see here, get bucket policy. If this option also selected, I'll also select put object. Now, okay, for what is the ARN? Some are bucket level, some are object level. So what we need to do? Give both. Even if you give single also, you give both if you are getting error. Give comma, give slash star. Now add statement. So this, the effect is Denny. What are all the options? Delayed bucket policy, get bucket policy, delete object, put object. For all these things, we are denying for what user? That is nothing but principal. On what bucket? On this bucket. Then generate policy. Okay. You see, copy this, paste it here, edit. When I click here, you just observe one space is adding, just press backspace. Then paste it. Then save changes. So this is a bucket policy. This is a bucket policy. Now test it. From I'll give a question answers window. Just 5 minutes. So here is a policy test user. Right. Now just give a refresh to take that effect. So this guy now try to upload something here. It's not working. Then again he immediately, okay, this guy again applied bucket policy. Let's go and delete it. Navigate to permissions, scroll down. You see here, is he able to see bucket policy? So can he delete bucket policy now? So we are closing that loophole. So primarily, what is the use case of this bucket policy? The use case is we can restrict users at resource level also. Can't we apply the same thing from IAM? We can. I'll show you from IAM. Okay. Now for this user, I don't want to allow him to upload anything to one of the bucket. Okay. Let's create a policy. What service we need to select? What service we need to select? S3. Under actions, do we need to create for allow or Denny? Denny. What actions you want to Denny? Click on expand all, you can find lot of options. What options I want to Denny? Put object. Okay. Let's select put object. So then delete object. This is delete bucket. Here is a delete object. Delete object I want to. Now, on what resource? Select the, if you select specific resource, you need to give bucket ARN. If I want to select every single bucket in my AWS account, I can select all resource. Now, to whom I apply this policy, those all cannot perform these operations on every single S3 bucket. But you go and select specific, click on add bucket ARN. What is our bucket? This bucket name. It's asking for bucket name. Copy this. You need to give the bucket name. Object, if you give any, star will be added automatically. Then click on add. Now click on review policy. Denny, delete and upload is the name I'm giving. Create a policy. So same thing we are able to do it from IAM. But the problem is, so managing this IAM rules, by the requirement is at resource level. So we can easily maintain this at resource level instead of user level onwards. So in future, new user came. Simply what you need to do, edit this, give a comma here for this principal, give a comma, give 2 double quotes, give that user ARN, but before that you need to add a bracket if you are giving multiple entry. Okay, then you need to close the bracket. That's it. Okay, So you gave another user here, user 2. If any new user comes, you go here, give ARN of user 3. Then simply save it. That's it. All right. So as I told you, same thing we can achieve from user level, IAM user level, or resource level. Resource level is easy to manage. All right. So yeah, if you have any questions on this bucket policies, we can discuss now. In your certification exam, he is going to give you this policy. He is going to give this policy and he will ask you, by having these permissions on S3 bucket, this policy test user, if he uploads something, what is going to be the action? Will it allow or will it deny? So by reading this principle, action and resource, by looking at these three options, you should able to tell whether operation will happen or not. Okay. So can you read this and can you tell if he is trying to upload? Now my question is, when Avinash underscore T user is trying to delete an object from this bucket is applied with this policy. Can that Avinash underscore T user delete an object or not? See, just understand the question. The bucket is applied with this policy. Now I'm working as Avinash underscore T user. He is trying to delete an object from this bucket. Will that allow or not?
It will allow for Avinash user because we are like
Yes.
creating the policy for IAM user. So only the respective IAM user
See,
alone cannot delete.
here,
Just
yeah,
everyone can
exactly. Here, policy test user, the policy contains about only policy test user to Denny. But I'm asking you about Avinash underscore T user. We have S3 full access or administrator access. Okay. So the question, I'm asking for a different IAM user, not for this user. So he can, if he have valid permissions. If this user specifically mentioned and the effect is Denny for these operations on this bucket, so definitely it's going to allow. Okay. So he will test you. Sometimes he will give under policy, he will give a different bucket name, but in question, he will talk about different bucket. And he will tell, okay, I'll tell you the question scenario also. Policy test user have S3 full access. He is trying to, okay, he is trying to enable versioning on 1910 Avinash.bucket. Can he able to do it or not? Yes. So here only these specific operations are denied. And sometimes same question and he's going to mention, but he will, okay, this Avinash.test policy.test user have S3 full access. He is trying to delete an object from just Avinash.bucket. Can he do it or not? Just Avinash. So there is a different bucket, not on the bucket. So he will just try to trick you with that manner. All you need to do is you need to see effect, principle, action, resource. So by evaluating those four, you should able to tell whether user can perform the operation or not. Okay. So yeah, any questions?
Yeah, Avinash.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
go one by one.
Okay, Avinash, this is Ravi here. So I think I missed out something. So in the resource field, you actually added two, one with
Yes.
star and one without.
Yes.
So what is the exact difference between these two?
Okay, so here the question from Ravi is, for one we have added star, for another one we haven't added star. What is the reason for that? So if you observe the actions, so let me tell you first one thing. So we have this bucket. Within this bucket, we have some direct objects. Okay, we have some folders. Fine, if I just give the bucket ARN, that represents this entire bucket. But I want to, inside this bucket, we have a folder. Inside folder, we may have some different folder, or we may have some data here directly itself. So I want to consider this inside folders and subfolders and everything for whatever the actions we are selecting. So giving folder 1, folder 2 manually. So what I'm doing within this bucket, I want to represent everything. For that, I'm giving a wildcard called star. So this star represents what are all the data or object or folders within the bucket. It represents at everything. Okay. So, but the thing is, if you observe this policy, is all operations are object level. For example, delayed bucket. Delayed bucket is a bucket level operation. It's not an object level operation. See, if you observe get bucket policy. So is get bucket policy is an object level operation or this bucket level operation? Is it something related to bucket? Yes. Is it something related to object? No. So for such type of bucket level ones, we no need to give star. Okay. So that is the purpose of star. Now, if you are confusing, for example, you're not sure whether it is a bucket level or object level, simply give bucket ARN, then give comma, give bucket ARN / star. You give both, AWS will pick one automatically. If it is a bucket level one, it pick bucket ARN. If it is object level one, it pick object ARN. That answers your question, Ravi?
Okay, so with the slash and star, we are actually going to not the bucket level, but inside the bucket level. Like
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. Thanks.
Hi, Mr.
Yeah.
Avinash. This is Raghu.
Yes.
I have a small query that here we can see we have included star, right?
Yes.
However, it's going to be included for bucket as well. Bucket / star, right? However, we are including bucket here. Then what's the use of giving the upper ARN?
Again, the same thing. So
Yes, I understood.
my question.
I understood what you said. My question is that, however, we are giving access to bucket here, right?
Yes.
And again, we are including a star for folders. We are including star, right?
Yes.
Till bucket, we are giving access to bucket, and again we are adding star for that.
Okay.
That's
So the reason. So we need to segregate operations. For example, this is a bucket. Okay. This bucket have some property. We have bucket versioning. For example, I don't want to allow someone to disable this bucket, or I want to deny someone to disable this bucket. So what I need to give? I need to give bucket ARN only. So I don't want to allow someone to delete a tag or edit a tag. So this is again bucket level only. Default encryption. Someone I don't want to enable encryption. Bucket level. Fine. So you are allowing someone to control the bucket property. To control the bucket property, simply you are giving this bucket ARN. But what about the data you have inside that bucket? Data also have some properties, right? If you go here, if you select an object, these also have some property. For example, bucket versioning, delete object, changing object storage class, right? Metadata or object log, these are deleting this object. These are operations or properties of this individual object. How we are defining? So mentioning that entire bucket ARL is actually representing this, not the object. So to represent object level, so you need to add / star. Okay.
okay, Mr.
So
Thank you.
if we can simply give this, it won't pick both. If it picking, then okay, it is fine, but it won't pick both. Okay. See, simply, for example, I don't want to allow him to do all these operations on a specific folder. Then also we can do. For example, I want to deny everything under this folder 1 only. Now copy folder 1. Go to permissions. edit this. Instead of this entire URL, gave this. So these operations, deleting object, uploading object, these two operations actually applicable to only folder 1. The same guy, if we try to upload to folder 2, it will work. Why? Because under resource, you are pointing to only folder 1. That is a resource level. So he can upload anything, he can delete anything from folder 2, but not from folder 1. So resource level, we are controlling this. Yeah, within that folder, we might have multiple files. Within the folder, we have an option called another folder also. So even if you are giving folder, you need to mention star. If it is object level, that is mandatory. Or if you want to talk about only one file is there, demo.txt file is there. I don't want to allow him to delete that. So then you can give the individual file name. Then it is okay. If you don't want to give individual file name, you have multiple files, you give star. Okay. So reading this, basically it's in JSON format, JavaScript object notation. Very, very simple to read. Okay. So sample JSON data. You see, this is a very simple JSON data. What is the color? Red. What is the value? Some value. What is different color? Green. What is the value? In simple, if you ask me to write a simple JSON, so first of all, we need to open the brace, close the brace. So now, name, Avinash. Then gave comma. Okay. Contact. My phone number starts with 7. Okay. Right. So, right. So this. Whose number is that? 9800. You started spontaneously. All right. So that is a very simple JSON. So this is like a key and value. This is a key. This is a value of that key. So if you read this JSON, if you try to read this JSON, we applied here. Okay. First thing, action. What are all the actions we are talking here? That is the first thing. Second, effect. These all selected options are going to take allow or Denny. So we are creating it for Denny. For what user? For this particular user. Fine. But on what bucket? On this bucket. Okay. Whom is an IAM user? What action, whether allow or Denny effect you are taking? What are all the actions you want? Like you are selecting Denny, but what is going to be Dennyed? Okay. Where it is going to Dennyed? So those options. 4. Right. So I hope we are good about this bucket policy.
I'm Narsimli here. So as of now, we selected the policy which are available in AWS. So if you want to create one business logic or some custom logic in the organization, so how we can do that?
Okay, so here the question, if you want to create custom policy, okay, end of the day, the policy is representing these objects and all. If you want to add some logics, you can do that. For example, I'm selecting all these operations, but I have not added any condition. So for example, my organization have a requirement. If object is uploading only from specific IP address, then only it should upload. I want to upload everything for everyone, but my business requirement is, so I want to allow that operation whenever is uploading happening from a specific IP address. That is one of the use case. So in that scenario, we have an option to add conditions here. So whether string equal to, Boolean is equal to, string like numerical equal to, date and time is equal to. So during from this period only upload should happen. So we can apply all such type of scenarios by using add conditions. For example, we have an option here called IP address. Okay, so here IP address, from where the source IP address should be 192.168.100.0/32, something like that. So whatever the options you are selecting here, so that must match with an IP address of this range. Then only that action is going to allow or deny we can configure. So we can add conditions definitely. So these all are the available ones. You can use this and you can generate the conditions.
Still only available ones we are selecting. I want to add some specific custom condition. So I want to select that one only instead of provided Amazon options.
We can here see you take any condition, it matches with this. So you take any condition.
These are all provided by the Amazon, right? These are all provided by Amazon, but I want to create my own. I want to use that only instead of these listed ones.
But here value we can define any, but all the available conditions here. You take a scenario. You tell me a scenario. I can build with available ones.
Okay.
So all the conditions are available. Values is in our hand only. That we can go and select.
Okay.
So about these actions, right? AWS itself given all the possible actions for S3 bucket. So only thing, if you want to add condition, you use. See, conditions means string equal to, not equal to, numeric, boolean, right? Those only, right? So those all are available here. You just take a minute, even date time also, binary not equal to, ARN equal to, string not equals to, all the possible ones available here. So we can build any condition.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that is all about bucket ARN, bucket policies. Now, so far, whatever the options we discussed, those all are important ones. Now I'll tell you good to know topics. If you know that option, it is just okay. You don't need to put a lot of effort or stress on those options. Such type of options, we have a couple of. One is, we have metrics option. AWS have a service called CloudWatch. So this CloudWatch, right? It's a monitoring service for AWS. Monitoring. CloudTrail is a logging service. Don't get confused between CloudWatch and CloudTrail. CloudTrail, whatever the activity you perform in AWS, it will create a log. But CloudWatch, okay, it is going to give usage graph. For example, suddenly you asked me, hey Avinash, how many objects you uploaded yesterday to this bucket? What is the size of this bucket yesterday? Today I can go and see, okay, fine. But what is the size? It is like, what is how many objects we have 5 days back or 6 days back? So to get that graph, we can depend on CloudWatch. So for that, we have bucket metrics. You see here, again, we can view these information in CloudWatch also. But you see here, total bucket size. The size of the bucket is 8 bytes on 19th. It went to 808 bytes. Then it came to 47 KB. Then it's constant from last 4 days. Why? Because I haven't logged in. I perform anything from last 4 days. So you see here, on 19th, I have 3 objects. On 20th, I have 11 objects. Then I have deleted some. It is 5 from some days onwards. So I commonly work on this bucket. I'll try to show graph from that. Metrics. You see here, for some days this, and later on this 30 MB is this bucket size. 30 MB is the bucket size. And you can see the trend also. 35, it become 36, then 44, it become 46, it become 49. And from last 5 days or 6 days onwards, it is a constant. So total I have 52 objects in this bucket. So from how many days we can see? So if you want to see very long history and all, you can click on view in CloudWatch. Click on view in CloudWatch. So then you can see what is a trend from last 1 week or 2 weeks. Click here. I want to see from last 3 months what is the trend. You see, I can see from last 3 months. Okay, so this is going to be enabled by defaultly for our S3 buckets. So no additional cost for these default graphs. But can't we get more graphs for this S3 bucket? We can, but on charge basis. These two is free. What is the size of the bucket? How many objects you have in this bucket? Every day for every 24 hours, it is going to update. Okay. But I'm looking for some more metrics like how many uploads happen, how many downloads happen, how many 400 requests came, how many 400 errors or 500 errors came. You know HTTP status codes? HTTP 200 means okay or success.
Success.
Okay or success. HTTP 300 status?
Redirect.
Kind of redirection one. HTTP 400?
Yeah, different errors, page not found, access.
Yeah, so basically it's a client side error. HTTP 500? So server side error. So, you know, you are looking for how many requests came to the S3 bucket, how many client side errors are there, how many server side errors came. Those all right, we can get as a graph, but on additional cost basis. How to enable that I'll show you. You guys don't enable it. Okay. If you enable, delete it immediately. So scroll down, view additional charts. Click on view additional charts. So you see here, these are the two available ones. Go to request metrics, create a filter. Okay, so I'm calling it as a paid metrics. So you want to limit to any specific bucket, prefix and all, any folder. Okay, filter to total objects, create filter. Now you see here, we got lot of all HTTP requests to this bucket, get operations, put operations. Sorry guys, 400 errors, 500 errors, latencies, all these things we can see here. Okay. So yeah, remaining options we'll discuss tomorrow.
But do we need to enable anything, Avinash, to come data into this graph? Because the graphs are empty right now.
So as I told you, these graphs are going to refresh for every day 12 EST. Okay, we just enable now.
Yeah.
From now onwards, this AWS will start gathering the data.
Okay, from now
and it is going to, yes.
Okay.
So by tomorrow, we are going to get a graph here. We can see that. So it will gather the information from now onwards. So click on manage filters. Whatever the filter you created, make sure you delete it. Otherwise, it will cost you. Okay. So we are good with basic metrics that comes for free. It's a good to know topic only. No one will ask you, okay, to enable that, but you just have that basic information. Okay. So I have a task for you guys. Okay, here is a task, guys. I'm pasting at bottom of this page. Create an IAM user. Provide him S3 full access. Okay, provide him S3 full access, but on a specific bucket, deny him to perform delete object, delete bucket, put object, get bucket policy. Then log in as that user. and verify the actions taken effect or not. Okay, the same thing, whatever the one I explained, I am asking you to do the same thing. This is one task. Task 2 is, okay, create an IAM user. Let's assume this username is user1. Okay, and create another IAM user. Call this user as a user2. Now create 2 buckets. Create 2 buckets. One bucket is user1 bucket and another bucket is user2 bucket. Now the task is user1 should access only his bucket. That is nothing but user1 bucket. Similar way, user2 should access only his bucket, user2. And that too, the another condition is here, user1 and user2 should not able to see anything if they go to S3 console. Those users should not able to see anything, but they need to access their own buckets with bucket URL. Okay, for this, so do this activity using IAM policy. You can find n number of articles on this in Google. Refer that Google articles, apply that here. You know bucket policy, you know IAM policy, you know IAM user, these things now. So refer that and try to perform this. Okay. So you got the task step by step. Create an IAM user. User1, create an IAM user, user2. Again, whatever the policies you are creating, apply that policies to this user. Do not give any S3 full access, IAM full access. If you gave S3 full access, this condition won't satisfy. You can see all the buckets. So then the third condition is not satisfying. Your task is not success. Okay. Again, these buckets also, they should access with their respected bucket URLs. That means user1, if he is in the buckets, it should not show anything. But if he open new tab, if he gave this URL, he should able to see all the files. That is what my requirement. As I told you, many articles I'll show you. So how to allocate a single bucket to a single IAM user. Granting a user S3 console access to a certain bucket. This is somewhat matching to our requirement, right? Go here, then read it. So first remove all bucket permissions. If we have all bucket permission, mean you can see all the buckets. So then third condition won't satisfy. So now go here, use like this URL. Okay, so then what policies you need to give? So you need to create a policy. This policy is a IAM policy, not S3 policy. Okay, so apply this policy. For user1, you gave user1. So don't go this prefix and all, folder and all. That is adding a condition. So just go with the first one. Okay, so I'm giving even the URL also. Now it's test for your knowledge. If you got a help article, whether you can really apply that to your organizational requirement or not. Okay, so I'll just upload this document to our GitHub. So from today onwards, all the material will be in this GitHub. So it's October, right? September. Repository, new repository, OCT 2022. It's a public repository. So from now onwards, you no need to depend on that S3 bucket URL and all. You need to have Slack access to post your questions. You need to have GitHub access. It's open for everyone to get these documents every day I'm preparing. Okay, it's a public URL only. Not only this, our existing files also, like IAM demo and all, I'm uploading it here. Demo.txt. Also, I'm adding it here. Okay, so throughout the course, our material in this location. So again, I'm repeating this. If anyone don't have, so this is a URL, guys. Okay, you just type this in the browser, you can access it. All you need to do is you just copy. You just copy this, paste in a browser, it will work. Sure. Whoever part of Slack, you can get that from Slack also. Okay. If you're part of Slack, you refer that here. And make it as a bookmark. Make it as a bookmark. Why? Because throughout the course, we will use this. And whoever is not part of Slack, whoever is not part of Slack, you guys go to this URL. This is a URL. Go to this URL. There is a line, first line, that is a Slack link. Okay, log in via the Slack link. I'm pasting that URL also for online users in our chat box. Okay. So this is still active, demo.txt. So you refer that. This is another URL. So take a picture, take a screenshot. Okay, or write it down. So tomorrow we will quickly go through all the available S3 options and we will close S3 module by tomorrow. We'll start EC2 introduction from day after tomorrow onwards. That's very, very important module. S3 is okay module for your interview, for exam and all. Just a okay, not so important module. But EC2 is very, very important module. All right. So yeah, that's it for today's session. See you again tomorrow, guys. Thank you.
Okay.